This is the story of Stibbles McScooples, renowned adventurer, tamer of beasts, tiny hero of the people, and legend among all who speak his name. I thought it'd be fun to give you guys a little rundown of who the heck Stibbles is and what he's been through, and how the companion quest story came about. It all started as a tragic character backstory for a silly little Travelocity Gnome parody with basically no moral compass, and now he's an author and a game protagonist, and also he's dead. Alright, let's get started. Stibbles was born as the fourth child in an eventual line of 12 gnomes to the MacScooples family, who have been shoveling horse poo in stables for generations. That's how he got his name, by the way. He used to be Stibbles McScooples. His parents did not like him. He later decided to become a home burrower who made gnome burrows in the place that they lived. He fell in love, and at one point he was able to save up enough gnome coins to afford a beautiful gnome wedding. Stibbles wanted to propose at a very romantic location, so he took his bride-to-be to a beautiful vineyard by a waterfall. When he popped the question, his beloved immediately slipped and fell off the cliff into the waterfall. So she died, and when he went back home to the burrow that he had made for both of them, he found it flooded and partially caved in. He decided to take the money that he saved up, bought a really big backpack crammed full of stuff, and journeyed to the west with no particular destination. He traveled for a few years before he stumbled upon a jungle, where he found a Yoda-style druid monkey man that liked Stibbles. So they both relaxed together, embraced nature, and Stibbles learned the ways of a jungle druid. This particular druid, not long after, pulled a Master Oogway and died as well, leading Stibbles out of the jungle and further west. He found larger and larger civilizations, taking on adventuring jobs in multiple towns. Most of the time, he would wake up to find that the other party members had left him behind. He fell in love with a woman who secretly used him for poaching, and he was eventually sold into drow slavery, where he stayed for 10 years before convincing a group of cave bears to eat his captors. He then returned to adventuring life and found his first reliable party, save for one member, who betrayed and slaughtered the rest of his crew, with the only other survivor leaving Stibbles in a bathroom stall at the next tavern. During this long period in his life, he was writing Stibbles' Codex of Companions. Page 166 of that book has a short summary of these events as well, and this is where his story started in the D&D game that we played. I don't remember the full story of that campaign, but here's some major moments that I do remember. Stibbles joined a band, burned down a riverside bar and watched it fall into the water, befriended an anti-drug spokesrat, harassed a boneclaw by summoning 8 constrictor snakes in a hallway, raised and awakened a bonsai treant, naming him Stibbles Jr., smoked that good Walter White candy laced with werewolf blood, which made him a werewolf, snuck into a noble's villa with a knife in hand to steal diamonds for no reason relating to the plot, became the king of the sewers, and finally was stabbed to death by one of his best friends while they were possessed by the demon lord Grazz. Out of game, his death mainly occurred because I moved and I couldn't be in the game anymore, but it was still really sad. Stibbles even gave a super heartfelt, like 20-second speech on his deathbed about making new friends. It was funny to me in a metagame sense because I knew that the party just had a slot to fill now. But also, moving somewhere new, I knew that the same was kinda true for me. After the life vanished from the eyes of the Travelocity Gnome ripoff, his soul traveled to the Tavern at Death's Door, and you can find him on page 256 in Twisted Taverns, 20 years after his death, which makes the page number his age at the time that you read it. Shortly after the reader flips past the page for the last time, Stibbles outsmarts death and escapes back to the world of the living. Hearing about new creatures to catalog, he ventured to the Seeker's big house for plainer pets. He was shown around the property, met some of the creatures, but got really interested in the little monkey that the Seeker hung out with. That monkey is a 4-armed, near 4th dimensional anomalous pseudo-god named Gugu, who first appeared on page 121 of The Seeker's Guide to Enchanting Emporiums. This little guy can swirl his arms to create a portal of any size to anywhere at any time in all of reality. During his visit, Stibbles overfed Gugu with both tasty cookie treats and grand stories of all his adventures. That drove Gugu crazy with an overexcited cosmic sugar rush, and the monkey thought it might be fun to force an equally insane adventure on Stibbles one more time. he twirled his arms and started ripping open chaos portals all over Stibbles' old home, dropping him back there and narrowly escaping all of Stibbles' future attempts to catch him. At this point, our poor heroic gnome went to the only people he knew he could rely on, his 11 siblings, to help him catch Gugu and calm the little guy down. And that's where Companion Quest starts, the board game that we're about to release where you can play as all the siblings who took up the challenge, along with the companions that they got after reading their brother's handbook, on an epic quest across multiple cities and fantastic locations, where they cross oceans and fight monsters, all dropped in their way by Gugu himself. If you want to join this new adventure, the board game comes out on the 4th of next month, and you can click the link in the description to follow along. And yes, that does imply that Stibbles escaped death and might still be a werewolf because of the drugs. Also, there's 2 more of him now because of time portals. Thanks for watching.